Guys, welcome back. It is week number 5. My name is David Leslie. This course is called Normal Life, and today we are wrapping things up in this final session. Before we do that, I need to do one last difficult thing, and that's confuse all of us, and that sounds like a really stupid idea, but in some ways it's really necessary, Inequality, transformation, creating connection, cross-class, cross-race, cross-culture, cross-sexual preference in South Africa is complicated. It's going to take work, it's going to take deliberate decisions, it's going to take us wading into extremely complex ideas and ways of thinking, and it would be kind of like remiss of me to make that simple for you, to set a false expectation that it's simple, So the goal of the next couple minutes is just to kind of like surface some of that complexity, and I'm surfacing it not to sound clever. I genuinely need help grappling with these things in my own mind, so any help I could get would be grateful, but so that we're best placed to kind of plod along towards making connection our cause within the complexity of the environment. And I hope that's okay. So 3 kind of like ideas to share about why it's a complicated space. The first is, and it's probably the most documented, is this idea of equality of opportunity versus equality of outcomes. Equality of outcomes is we force people to be equal. That was kind of like Karl Marx and Lenin and Stalin and Mao in China. That was kind of the intention there, based on the French Revolution, is like, let's dethrone privilege and elevate the oppressed so that all of us are together equal. As I read those historical events, obviously through a very specific lens that I'm coming at it from, I find those events to be incredibly destructive. It seems to me a lot of people died. It seems to me that a lot of people were deeply damaged by this. So equality of outcomes, I don't think is a particularly good idea. But equality of opportunity is necessary. Just looping back to the first session where we started, yes, equality of opportunity, as in it's not great that we live in the most unequal society, because firstly, that's unjust, as it's linked to racism and apartheid and colonialism. And secondly, as a human living in that environment, it hurts me. And we saw that from the spirit level. So equality of opportunity is, and giving our lives to equality of opportunity in small practical ways is a really good idea, okay? Which kind of segues us quite neatly into the next idea, which is that inequality is actually a very normal idea in our societies, and we're actually really comfortable with it in lots of different ways. You're comfortable with it in the entertainment industry, you're comfortable with it in sports, you're comfortable with it in business, you're comfortable with it even in nature per se, So if you think about it in sports, millions of people try out to play professional sports. A very small minority do that and enjoy the benefits of it. That's an incredibly unfair process. It's just purely based on skills. But we're okay with that. We're okay with that same process in music. Billions trying out or millions and millions and millions trying to be musicians. A very few actually making that a commercial reality and getting to do that as a kind of like occupation. And you could go on. And so inequality is very normal. So those 2 are really complicated. The third idea, which is probably the most complicated, is how do we create equality of opportunities in a broken society? So, Africa, and in particularly South Africa, there's a lot of narratives around Mauritius and Singapore transforming inequality, even though they had colonization. But Africa, the trauma is deep and real and affects us, and I didn't even experience that. I could just kind of like empathize with it, but it goes so deep, how that's affected families and generations after generation and generation. And so it's actually damaged most of us, I would say all of us psychologically, you know. And evidence to that is one of the biggest funders in South Africa, who funds some of the biggest transformation movements within South Africa. So they're the hugest funders of transformation programs in South Africa. He said that the consequence of that psychological damage is that of the programs that they run, only a tiny percentage, 5%, not more than 5% of people want to break the cycle of poverty in their life. In other words, they don't want someone to save them, as in do the work for them. They're actually prepared to do the work. And obviously, transformation comes when we take control of our lives as opposed to someone rescuing us. Rescuing us as saving people is a very destructive idea, as we'll see in the next session. But only 5% of people actually want to transform their lives, you know. And those three ideas are complicated, and I can feel my head spinning, and I'm sure yours is spinning as well, but we need to confront them if we're going to make a connection on our cause and muddle our way through that with people we love, just like Zach and I did. Then the reality is that we need to be aware of that.